This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country.
8:47 a.m., Washington, D.C. 2 tons of fentanyl and heroin. $11.6 million. 77 government officials compromised. This is the deepest cartel infiltration ever discovered inside the American government. Let me show you.
FBI and DEA agents have raided the private office of a sitting U.S. senator, uncovering massive quantities of fentanyl, heroin, and millions in cash.
8:47 a.m., Washington, D.C. The hallway outside the Senate chamber was supposed to be the most impenetrable part of the American government. As Senator Marcus Hale adjusted his tie and walked toward the double doors, the overhead lights flashed powerfully, as if the building were breathing out a warning. A split second later, the quiet marble hallway erupted into chaos. FBI tactical teams surged in with the force of a battlefield assault, weapons raised, formations locked, voices ripping through the air like gunshots. A staffer screamed. The Capitol Police froze. Hale staggered back before agents slammed him against the wall with the cold precision used in raids on fentanyl superlabs across the Southwest. And his office told the rest of the story. Inside room 312, a steel cabinet was torn open. What spilled out did not belong anywhere near the United States Senate. Bricks of fentanyl wrapped for mass distribution, stacks of heroin stamped with cartel insignias, and $11.6 million in cash. Then there were the documents, classified memos, routing codes, transportation authorizations. Not signs of weakness, signs of command. The Senate was not breached by outsiders. It was breached from within. If this shocks you, say yes below. The raid inside the Capitol wasn't an accident. It was the final strike of a silent war that had been unfolding for 14 months. Only 9 federal officials knew the truth. A series of national security priority shipments pushed through federal gates with Senator Marcus Hale's signature, moving untouched from Arizona to New Mexico to Illinois. What the public believed were military supply convoys were, in reality, the spine of a $14.7 billion narcotics machine protected by government clearance codes.
We learned that the people associated with this drug trafficking organization,
the Meridian Syndicate, began 2 decades earlier, forged from ex-Sinaloa enforcers, Balkan gun runners, and rogue military advisors expelled for war crimes. Their brutality was legendary. 216 disappearances linked to tunnel construction beneath Sonoran sands, safe houses with blast doors and chemical incinerators that erased bodies in under 11 minutes. Torture recordings used to control corrupt officials. A 2019 revenge massacre that left 22 dead. Behind the cameras and speeches, Hale wasn't aligned with the syndicate. He built its American expansion. 8 years of records exposed an industrial-scale operation. 19 underground tunnels engineered for high-volume transport. 62 military-grade trucks registered to fake contractors. Courier teams with encrypted radios, night vision gear, ex-military rifles. Fentanyl drums hidden inside climate-controlled weapons crates. Inside cartel communications, the route had a name: the Iron Corridor, a shadow highway designed to pump narcotics and weapons into U.S. cities without leaving a trace. And every time the DEA attempted to intervene, a clearance flashed across their screens. Hale 17A, instant approval. To the public, Marcus Hale was a national security champion. In truth, he commanded the most protected narcotics pipeline ever built inside the American government. Hit like, so this truth reaches more people who still believe corruption only comes from outside. Federal agents knew Marcus Hale was the head of the snake, but no one, not even the most seasoned tactical commanders, expected what followed the morning he was arrested. Because the moment Hale's fingerprints hit federal custody, the second phase of the operation activated. Operation Fracture, the largest coordinated domestic strike since 9/11. Across 14 states, 3,200 federal agents suited up in unmarked hangars, warehouses, and parking structures. No insignias, no press leaks, no warnings. Every minute wasted risked cartel counterattacks or the destruction of evidence. The Meridian Syndicate was not a street gang. It was a militarized narcotics empire with ex-soldiers, armored vehicles, encrypted comms, and perimeter guards trained to kill without hesitation. The first battle ignited outside El Paso, near the desert edge where Hale's underground tunnels surfaced. Helicopter rotors cut through the cold air as FBI, HRT, and U.S. Marshals descended on a fortified compound disguised as a trucking depot. Infrared drones marked 16 armed guards patrolling rooftops and catwalks. The moment flashbangs detonated, the compound erupted. Rounds cracked against steel containers. A guard fired from an elevated scaffold, but he was taken down by a precision shot before he could reload. Tactical units swept forward, shields up, breaching the main warehouse door. Inside, they found crates filled with military-grade carbines, silencers, and sealed fentanyl drums stamped with the Meridian emblem. A firefight broke out near the stairwell leading to a subterranean tunnel shaft. Cartel gunmen attempted to hold the choke point, but were overwhelmed in under 6 minutes. At 5:21 a.m., the second front boiled over in Phoenix. A conversion lab, disguised as an auto parts facility, had been processing raw fentanyl powder into pill form with industrial mixers. When agents breached the back wall, white clouds billowed into the air, mixing with the deafening clang of rifles. K-9 teams chased 2 operators through a row of chemical vats. One suspect tried to ignite a drum of precursor chemicals, attempting to create an explosion large enough to destroy the entire lab. But agents took him down before the fuse reached its target. The largest confrontation came hours later in northern Georgia, where the syndicate operated its primary logistics hub, a maze of freight trailers aligned around a false manufacturing company. As federal vehicles closed in, cartel trucks attempted a high-speed escape through the east gate. Agents deployed spike systems, shredding tires and sending 2 trucks skidding sideways into a drainage ditch. Gunfire echoed between the metal rows. Shouts, boots slamming the pavement, the hiss of gas grenades rolling under trailers. Thermal drones overhead caught individuals hiding inside refrigerated units. 2 were found beneath stacks of frozen produce, clutching rifles that had iced over from the cold. By 8:03 a.m., the battle was over. What remained was staggering. 2.1 tons of fentanyl and heroin seized. 412 weapons recovered, many sourced from Hale's defense contracts. $380 million in gold, cash, crypto ledgers. 143 cartel operatives in federal custody. The Iron Corridor, once invisible, untouchable, protected by Senate signatures, had been reduced to smoking warehouses, collapsed tunnels, and empty trailers. For the first time in 8 years, the Meridian syndicate was not moving. It was falling. Tell me below, should every official tied to this network face maximum sentencing? Washington had barely processed the shock of the Capitol raid when the second wave hit, this time not on the streets or in cartel compounds, but inside the political heart of the United States. By mid-morning, the Senate was drowning in a crisis no one had words for. A sitting senator had been arrested, his empire dismantled before sunrise, and the corridors outside the chamber felt less like a government building and more like the command floor of an emergency bunker. Phones rang without pause. Staffers whispered in corners. Press aides sprinted through hallways with faces drained of color. Overnight, a man celebrated as the voice of national security had been redesigned by evidence into something far darker, the mastermind of a militarized narcotics cartel. At 11:04 a.m., leaders from both parties were ushered into a secured conference room. The doors sealed shut. For 9 hours, the nation's highest lawmakers faced the same briefings the FBI had been assembling for more than a year. Financial ledgers, encrypted chats, tunnel schematics, weapons manifests, and clearance codes that had moved untouched across state lines. The phrase that echoed again and again across the table was simple. This came from inside the Senate. The political shockwaves were immediate. 19 senior aides were detained for questioning that afternoon. 3 were placed in handcuffs on Capitol property after investigators seized computers containing campaign donations that aligned perfectly with cartel shipment dates. A communications director in Chicago attempted to delete 6 years of emails the moment the raid went public. Federal agents stopped him before he reached the elevator. Across the country, local officials scrambled to distance themselves. Governors issued statements within hours, all insisting they were deeply disturbed and fully cooperating with the investigation. Television anchors struggled to keep pace as new names surfaced. City council members, procurement officers, transportation advisors, each tied to Hale's clearance network in ways impossible to explain as coincidence. But the most explosive moment came when a classified memo leaked to 2 major news outlets. Typed in clean block letters, it read, "Hale guarantees passage. Do not interfere." It was the political equivalent of a detonation. The memo did not just imply complicity, it implied acknowledgement, awareness that shipments were being waved through, awareness that the senator chairing the Defense Oversight Committee was simultaneously running a narcotics and weapons corridor large enough to supply multiple criminal factions. Protests began by late afternoon. Outside the Capitol, crowds gathered with signs reading, "Who protects us when the protectors fall?" And, "If the Senate bends, what else breaks?" The air vibrated with anger, disbelief, and something colder. Fear that the institutions trusted to safeguard the nation were far more vulnerable than anyone admitted. Inside closed rooms, the political machine churned. Emergency ethics hearings were scheduled. Fundraising committees collapsed. Intelligence officials demanded access to years of Hale's classified briefings to determine what information had been manipulated or sold. For the first time in modern memory, Washington was forced to confront a truth it had long considered unthinkable. The greatest breach of national security in a decade did not come from outside America's borders. It came from the marble hallways of its own Senate. If you've seen corruption like this in your own community, let me know. Your voice matters more than you think. The political storm raging across Washington was only the surface. Beneath it, buried under years of carefully maintained illusions, investigators were uncovering something far colder, a structural rot, engineered with the precision of a military operation, built to survive elections, audits, and oversight. The key to understanding it lay inside a single evidence box removed from Hale's Capitol office at 1:27 p.m. A plain binder, unmarked, bound with industrial clips. To outsiders, it looked like routine legislative paperwork. But when analysts opened it, page by page, the Senate facade collapsed. They had discovered the Meridian ledger. This was not a simple accounting book. It was the operational brain of an empire. A full map of political access points, clearance codes, payment cycles, transportation routes, contingency plans, and names. Pages were arranged with an engineer's discipline. Dates, locations, initials, signatures, routing instructions, and the sums paid to keep doors open. 77 officials appeared in its entries. Not all elected, not all high level. Some were the kind of personnel America rarely thinks about. A procurement officer approving federal transport contracts, a logistics coordinator in the Department of Transportation, a regional safety inspector, a senior staff assistant on a Senate subcommittee, a communications analyst assigned to review security footage. Each one represented a lever, a small mechanism within the machinery of government that could be quietly adjusted to let a shipment pass, delay an inspection, or divert an inquiry. But the most staggering names were embedded deeper in the ledger. 12 police chiefs, 8 city council members, 3 former military advisors attached to Hale's defense committees. Together, they formed a lattice of protection more sophisticated than anything the FBI had modeled. This wasn't bribery in the traditional sense. It was integration, the syndicate woven into the skeleton of public institutions. Investigators noticed something even more chilling. For every payment listed, every transfer, every coded memo, there was a matching action. A shipment rerouted, a checkpoint bypassed, a report lost, a traffic camera disabled, a clearance code issued. The Meridian Syndicate wasn't hiding within the system. It was using the system itself as a weapon. Communities began to feel the truth as details surfaced. In Chicago, mothers who had buried children lost to fentanyl overdoses saw Hale's signature stamped on clearance orders that allowed the very drugs into their neighborhoods. In Phoenix, officers who once trusted federal briefings learned that their pursuit logs had been manually altered, redeemed not by mistakes but by deliberate suppression. In El Paso, activists who had long suspected something larger now saw the proof in black and white: the tunnels, the routes, the vehicles, the protection. Across the country, grief hardened into anger, and anger hardened into something heavier: recognition. Recognition that the failure was not one man, but a chain of hands, each helping turn the wheel of a machine poisoning the nation. Inside a cramped evidence room, an analyst whispered what everyone was thinking but did not want to say out loud. If a senator can build this, what else has been built where we can't see? The question echoed through agencies, state houses, and newsrooms. Because the betrayal recorded in the Meridian ledger wasn't measured in dollars, or guns, or shipments, it was measured in trust. And trust, once broken at the level of a nation, does not return quietly. By the end of the week, the United States was a different country. Not on the surface. The building still stood, the flags